Hi, I'm Greg Cavanaugh with the Gallup Journey magazine. Today I'm going to show you a 2012 Toyota Venza LE all-wheel drive with the V6. I remember when the Toyota Venza was going to be coming out, how excited I was, because I thought to myself, this represents a Toyota Camry wagon. Well, frankly it doesn't. And even though I'm a wagon guy and I like the space and the ride you get from a wagon, I do like the Venza. Personally, with the styling, I think it's a sharp vehicle. It's very, very wide. It almost seems as wide as it is long. The squat windows give it kind of that coupe-like, wedge-shaped profile. It rides on 20s, which on this car actually don't look preposterously big. And it uses the Toyota kind of design language with the tail lights, and it definitely fits within their model lineup. Now, Toyota builds this more as a, well, I shouldn't say more, Toyota builds this as a crossover lifestyle vehicle. If you go on Toyota's website and you go across their tabs, you're not going to find the Toyota Venza underneath the cars. Although it does ride off the Camry chassis, when you go to the Toyota website and you click on crossovers and SUVs, you're going to find the Venza. It does ride a little bit higher, it's very wide, and it does use a hatchback, so it kind of blurs the lines a little bit between some of the crossovers like a Highlander and also what would be considered a Toyota Camry wagon. The interior of the Venza is a pretty nice place to be. They use this kind of carbon fiber but brown trim, which kind of makes it almost like a wood carbon fiber. It's pretty cool, accented with some chrome, faux chrome. It's also typical Toyota in that it has, you know, big lettering and stuff for the speedometer and the gauges, big easy to use knob and buttons, which I'm not always a huge fan of in terms of looks, but in terms of use, you can't beat them. Typical Toyota, you got cup holders in the door, they're nicely labeled, telling you not to put hot coffee in there or anything. Just, it's a very familiar Toyota interior, but it's a little bit nicer than the Corolla, the Camry, some of those. Up top here, you have a very small screen. That screen functions as your screen for your backup camera. It also shows the function and information for like the climate control, like your temperature, fan setting, things like that. Ergonomically, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't really have a hard time using the climate control, but it did take me a small learning curve to get used to it. You have some nice functions here with the storage. This is a very nice little cell phone holder, especially for smartphones. It's spring loaded, so it's got some pressure in there which holds it closed for you. When you open it up down here, you have all your connections for your smartphone, and you can connect it in through here. There's a little pass-through for your cable right there. Good storage in the middle here for your purse or anything else. And of course, two cup holders here in the middle, little spot for a wallet, and then the center armrest kind of moves back and forth, and underneath that is even more storage. Overall, lots of place for storage. Really wide, so it gives you a ton of shoulder room. This makes this a great road trip interior. The second row is really the place to be in the Venza. Seated behind myself, I'm 5'8", tons of leg room, tons of space, ample headroom. I had a friend of mine who was 6 foot in here, no problem. And what's nice too is that these seats also recline. Take a nap back here. So as I said, I really believe the Venza is designed for the occupants, and as a four-person vehicle, it's just tremendous. Nice center armrest here. It's a really wide car, so you get a ton of shoulder room. Highly recommended for that. As I mentioned before, this is not really a Toyota Camry wagon, and I think the cargo area here exemplifies that pretty well. I wouldn't call it small, but it's not as big as my wagon. I have a Mercedes E320, an older one, but it's considerably larger. In fact, mine even has a third row in the back. I also compared this to a buddy's RAV4, and that is considerably larger as well. So the Venza is not going to be a good choice if you have, you know, a couple of kids and you're always hauling around stuff and groceries, going camping and all those kinds of things. The high load floor here with the spare tire underneath. You got the jack over there. Jumper cables could maybe go over here. You know, you can get a fair amount of groceries in here and kind of shorter day trip type of stuff. I think what Toyota did here was they gave all the space to the second row. Let me put down the seats and I'll show you. Nice levers here. Pull down. Seats go down on their own. That's big. That is a big space. It's pseudo minivan-like in some respects. And I think what Toyota did was they put all that space into the second row and the first row. So this is really designed for the passengers, the occupants, and not necessarily hauling around a bunch of cargo. So if you have older kids and you travel to soccer games and those types of trips where you're not hauling a ton of stuff, that would work great. The Venza would work great for that. Also, if you're a couple of empty nesters and you travel around with friends a lot, going out to eat and movies and stuff like that, this vehicle is going to be great for that. That second row is limo-like in its space. Let's talk powertrain. The Venza uses the Toyota family's powertrain of engines. This is the same engine you can get in the Camry, same engine you're going to get in a Sienna minivan. It's Toyota's 3.5-liter V6. And this, guys, it's making 268 horsepower, 248 pound-feet of torque. It has variable valve timing on both the intake and the exhaust, so dual variable valve timing. It's a smooth, good running engine. I mean, it's really hard to complain about. Compared to some of its counterparts, like GM's 3.6 liter and the new Pentastar V6, it's a little bit lower in the power range, but it almost seems a little underrated because you don't notice it. It's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, something like this, you're wondering probably fuel economy. The V6 here with all-wheel drive is rated for 1825. Now, interestingly enough, you can get this car with a 4-cylinder, a 2.7-liter 4-cylinder. That's a big 4-cylinder. It makes 182 horsepower and pound-feet of torque. Now, how does that affect your fuel economy? Well, first of all, opting out of the all-wheel drive in either model bumps you up. The front-wheel drive model with V6 is going to give you 1926, so it basically bumps you up one in the city and one on the highway. Interestingly enough, the all-wheel drive 4-cylinder model gets the same highway mileage as the V6. What it does get is 20 in the city versus 18 for the V6. Now, if you opt out of the all-wheel drive, go for the 4-cylinder with the front-wheel drive, you can get as high as 21 miles per gallon in the city and 27 on the highway. Our mileage is really increasing on vehicles these days. Now, of course, this isn't going to compete with a Camry or Camry Hybrid, but compared to something like the Highlander, which is going to be like 17, 22, you're doing okay. So, let's talk sticker. Probably can't see it in the shot, so I'll explain it to you. I do believe the Venza is designed to be a little bit more of a lifestyle vehicle. It's not Toyota's bread and butter. It's not a value-priced vehicle. You have the LE, XLE Limited. This here is the LE with the V6, which is an option, with the all-wheel drive, which is an option, and with a few other options, the big wheels and a few other things, you're all the way up into the low to mid-30s, $33,000 here. I believe a base LE Venza is going to start around the high 27s, low 28. So as you can see, you're paying a little bit more to have that unique styling, a little bit more of this vehicle that not everybody has, that kind of blurs the lines between wagon and car and crossover, and I think you're paying for that. It's a little bit more luxurious in the interior, and it's designed to feel as a more unique vehicle for the buyer. And because of that, you're not going to get a steal on these things at the dealership, but you are getting a reasonable amount of vehicle for your money. I want to thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it informative and helpful. I also want to give a special thanks to Amigo Toyota for allowing me to test drive the Venza. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave some comments below.